Okay, you asked and I'm answering. This is a basic Q&A, just these questions are a little bit bigger and I think that they will be helpful for at least the people who have asked. Let's see, Katrina asks, how did you know you wanted to voice act and what were your inspirations to get into the profession? Were you on the fence about starting a new or different career? What did you do to give it a try? And lastly, what kind of advice would you give to people just wanting to see if voice acting is something that they want to pursue without buying equipment? Okay, you want to know everything, don't you? Let's start with that first question. How did you know you wanted to voice act and what were your inspirations to get in the profession? I had graduated college in something totally different. I was on a totally different path. And the economy was crashing the year that I graduated, so it was very difficult to find a job. And I eventually found a corporate job where overtime was mandatory and it was very high stress and it was not the kind of environment that I wanted to work in. So I knew that I wanted something different. And I started trying a lot of different things. I tried inventing stuff. I tried writing a book and selling that. I tried, I can't even remember everything I tried. I was like sending out these pamphlets to different companies trying to figure out how you get inventions made. I was trying a lot of different stuff. And one day, like just offhandedly, I had told a friend of mine who's really great at accents that he should be a voice actor. And then it occurred to me that that would be something that is fun and awesome and I would love to do that. So I decided that I would try it. And that is how I decided to try voice acting. I didn't know what it was gonna be. It's not like, you know, I don't think a lot of us, we have to discover what we wanna do. And whenever you start something, you never know how it's gonna pan out and you never know how passionate about it you're going to be. So it was just another thing that I was trying in the slew of things that I was trying to figure out what it was that I wanted in life and how I thought I could maybe make money. So that's what I did. That's how I got into it. Or that's how I knew, at least. Were you on the fence about starting a new or different career? I was not going full-time at this point. I was just trying to figure out how to pay the bills without being miserable in the corporate world, and I was just trying to find a place to land. So all of these things that I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do in life, these were all side hobbies that I was hoping would pan out for the future, which obviously it did. So I did voice acting for quite a few years as I was trying to figure out how the industry worked, how to get your first job, how to get consistent work. I was working other jobs while I worked out all the kinks in voice acting. And then when it was time to go full-time, I was very nervous. I didn't know, you know, how it was gonna work out. You know, you always have those nerves of, well, it's good now, but what if it doesn't last? Like, there's always that self-doubt and anxiety, but I was ready for it. I was very tired in my last job. I was getting pretty burnt out. And yeah, so I was on the fence about going full-time, and that's just part of it. What did you do to give it a try? Well, for that, you can watch my other video on how to become a voice actor. I found a guy named Bill DeWeese on YouTube, and he was one of the few people, the only person that I found that gave actual information on how to get into voice acting to begin with. So I watched his videos on like what equipment to buy and how to start off small and just how to get started. And then I would Google stuff on, you know, where to find voice jobs. Like ACX was a very easy one to find early on. So that's what I did to give it a try. And lastly, what kind of advice would you give to people just wanting to see if voice acting is something that they want to pursue without buying equipment? That's a tough one. That's basically just saying what advice would you give to people who want to act? And the answer is act, right? If you don't have equipment, how are you going to record it? I suppose you could record it on your phone, and you know, it sounds like just to see if that's something that you might want to do, just doing that stuff for fun. But if you're already at the point of seeking me out to get advice, then I would say the next step is probably just taking the leap. We're way past the days where you don't have to have any equipment to get started in voiceover unless you've been establishing yourself as an actor, you know, for theater or film, and then someone hires you for voice acting. That's a different story. But if you're at ground zero and you're not a paid actor at all and you've never done professional work, you're going to be pretty hard pressed to find someone that is going to hire you if you don't have anything to record on, because in that case, you're thinking about renting out studio time at a professional recording studio, and that's going to be a much bigger budget and project for a client to hire you for your very first jobs. So if you're just wanting to see if it's something that you like, then just continue learning about it. If you don't want to buy equipment yet, you know, ask yourself questions about, you know, the things that you're interested in. If you like to watch TV and you envision yourself being the person acting it out, awesome. If you want to get into acting in general, go do a local play, you know, something like that. Maybe get into acting classes, but at that point you're investing money and you're kind of more interested in voice acting. So I would say take the leap and try to keep your expenses as low as possible, and go from there. Okay, so I hope that helps, Katrina. Okay, so Joseph asks, hi Joseph from University of Florida. He's interested in voice acting as a business. How did you start as a voice actor? What steps did you take to pursue your current position in voice acting? And if you were to go back with the knowledge that you currently have in the field, what would you do differently? Okay, how did you start as a voice actor? I decided that I was interested in voice acting, that would be something that would be awesome to do as a career full-time. And I started to do research online to figure out, you know, what equipment to buy, like I just said to Katrina. So I went online, I bought equipment, I got on ACX, and that's where I booked my very first job. So that's how I got started. What steps did you take to pursue your current position in voice acting? So I'll give you the basics of how I built myself up, but basically, in the beginning, I was stoked just to get jobs, period. Whether it was $5 on Fiverr or, you know, $1,000 on ACX for a book, whatever it was, I was just looking to find people to pay me to do voiceover. Then, as I wanted to build up my clientele more, I was focused on getting my reviews up on platforms that I was on to build my credibility. And then I was focused on doing cold call marketing to find clients of my own that weren't through platforms. And at that point, I was focused on just doing the best work that I could, having consistent work coming in, and you know, making my clients happy enough to come back to me the next time that they had a project. Then I started looking at, as I got busier and busier and as I got more confident in the work that I was producing, I started looking at adjusting my rates to something that was closer to industry average. And that was my next goal, getting closer and closer and closer to what you would normally pay somebody in the industry. And that's kind of how, you know, things grew and all of that stuff. So if I was to go back, what would I do differently? You know, honestly, I don't think I would have done anything differently. The learning curve is unavoidable. There's always going to be things that you need to figure out. And whenever you own your own business, it is so much about problem solving and figuring things out and figuring out how to get from point A to point B based off of the goals that you've set for yourself. When I started, there was very little information online about how to get started in the industry. And I did pay $150 to one of the top voice actors in the city when I was back in Houston that gave me zero information. He didn't even know, like, he was giving consultations and didn't even know how to survive in the industry because the industry was changing so quickly from what it used to be. So yeah, I guess it was, you know, the learning curve was unavoidable, and I learned as quickly as I could, and I made mistakes, and, you know, I had some wins, and it was a very slow, tedious, grueling process, which is why I'm making these videos, because it's almost like I, you know, am talking to my younger self in a way, because this is the information that I wish I had had. It really is just, you know, you don't regret your mistakes that you make along the way. You're doing the best that you can, and you learn from every mistake that you make. And I learned as quickly as I could. So I guess if you're looking for something to kind of focus on or to be aware of, I would say constantly learning and constantly asking questions and figuring out what it is that you want, and then how to gear yourself to get there is the most important thing. So, you know, information sources like this that help give some answers to specific questions. If you're getting more specific in your projects, then perhaps look for people who do educational platforms where they focus on those projects. If you have the capital to get into acting classes and things like that, that's very important. Looking for podcasts on voice acting or acting in general where people give information, doing research, the people that you want to work with, knowing who you might want to work with, whether it's casting directors, agents, producers, whatever the case is, doing your research, learning about the industry, all of that stuff is absolutely crucial. If you don't know the lay of the land, then how are you going to navigate at all? So hopefully that answers your questions, Joseph. That's it for the Q&A. I should get back to work, but I guess I'll talk to you guys later.